You may have read this title and said, boy, I could not have expected. How could Kamala Harris have embarrassed herself even more than she has over the past 6 to 8 months? I don't know. I don't know either. When I saw what I saw yesterday, especially with Tim Walz getting ruthlessly heckled by U.S. veterans, I thought, wow, there is a level below bedrock. I thought Kamala Harris had, in fact, hit rock bottom, but I was wrong, folks. I was wrong. Leave a like if you just discovered that there is a level below rock bottom, because I have it for you, including a brutal tweet that Kamala Harris put out that was immediately crammed in her stupid face within 12 hours later. Let's get into all that after a super quick word from Private Internet Access. Shout out to this video's sponsor, Private Internet Access. Look, if you aren't using a VPN yet, you're completely missing out, and Private Internet Access is the one I use on all of my devices. If you've been following the news, you see that censorship, websites, apps are getting shut down in certain countries, all sorts of craziness. Well, a VPN helps you never have to worry about that. Private Internet Access also protects you from the prying eyes of hackers, internet service providers, and others that can view your personal data. Perhaps also just as importantly, Private Internet Access allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more have different library options based on where you're located, and some shows simply cannot be accessed if you're not in the target location. Happens to me all the time. Many sports events also have regional blackouts. Well, VPNs can be a convenient way to make sure you're getting the content that you're paying for. Private Internet Access also allows you to protect an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time, so your entire household with a single subscription. And I've been working with Private Internet Access so long that I have an absolutely massive discount available to my viewers. Link in the description below. Get Private Internet Access today using my link. Save huge, protect your computers, access all the content that you've been paying for, and ensure that your internet is never censored. I'm going to go right into the juiciest part right here. Look, I didn't have the courage to serve. A lot of my friends did, and not all of them came back. I understand that stolen valor is a big deal. I can empathize. I can understand why stolen valor is a big deal. And old knucklehead Tim Walz. Remember when Tim Walz said he was in Tiananmen Square, standing in front of the tank or whatever? He made up all these crazy stories about his military service, which, by the way, seems to happen a lot with politicians. Remember the Swift boat thing? There's all sorts of stuff. But here's Tim Walz speaking at the American Legion. How do you think this goes? Look at this. This is an old timer. This isn't some young buck protester. This is some old timer that was probably in Vietnam. Guess that based on his age, or maybe Korea. Probably Vietnam.
Sir, you're welcome to come. Let me finish.
Coward. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, there's some passion in the real.
Tim Walz, you see, real veterans absolutely despise this fraud, just as the majority of Americans do. So satisfying seeing this. I wonder if there's a longer version, because I think we all need this kind of injected into our veins. It looks like all we have is 23 seconds. By the way, this is a guy that went on stage and cheered when the Tesla stock was tanking. It's still not great. I'm not feeling great having a $300 dollar cost average on it, but I'm in my degen era, as you guys know. So I keep pulling out of, some of my other retirement areas and trying to lower that. But ultimately, poor Tim Walz. But that's not even here. Tim Walz suffers another blow over ICE arrests in Minnesota. Newsweek has contacted the office for Governor Walz, and he refused to reply. Governor Tim Walz supports sanctuary policies that limit cooperation between local law enforcement and immigration authorities. In early 2023, Walz expanded driver's licenses to all residents of Minnesota, regardless of if they were illegal or not. You know why he did that? Do you know why he did that, folks? That's right, so illegals could vote. That's why. He did that so illegal citizens, or illegals, I'm sorry, not citizens, illegals could vote. That's why they did it. It was estimated that 81,000 undocumented migrants would benefit from the bill, which allowed them to apply for a state-issued ID card. Boy, I mean, 81,000 votes. It feels like that could swing a Supreme Court election. It feels like absolutely that it could swing a presidential election, right? Since Trump took office, the sheriff's offices in Minnesota now are helping because Tim Walz is feckless and powerless. Then he turned against Kamala Harris. But let's go to the Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris's "I told you" statement, "I told you so" statement goes viral after stock market bloodbath wipes out trillions following Trump's tariffs. The stock market had just taken a historic plunge, and people are not holding back. Following Trump's sweeping new tariff plan, the markets lost trillions of dollars, sending shockwaves across Wall Street. Look, I don't know how long this is going to go. Like I said, all I'm focused on is lowering my dollar cost averages right now. When there's an opportunity for that, that's what I'm doing. And if I get to a point where it's at or close to the market, I'm probably just holding. Because I don't know either. I don't have millions of dollars to invest. So, every time I get paid or, something like that, it's like I might have $1,000 or $2,000 to throw in there and lower my dollar cost average by like $1. But during the chaos, Kamala Harris, quote, "I told you so" moment went viral. Kamala Harris's "I told you so" response captured the sentiment as Americans exhibited fear, anger, and dark humor. Well, I don't think it's going good. They're saying "I told you so" after the stock market plummeted trillions of dollars following Trump's announcement on tariffs, as quoted in BuzzFeed. Although he dubbed it Liberation Day, people are not feeling financially free in light of the precipitous declines in the stock market indicators. According to CBS, blue chip Dow fell 12%, NASDAQ fell 16%, and the S&P fell roughly 14% in the weeks following the tariffs being announced. But what's interesting is people don't like that. Tim Walz breaks from her. Tim Walz calls out former running mate Kamala Harris over her "I told you so" comments, saying he doesn't appreciate finger pointing. During his appearance on CNN's State of the Union on Sunday, the former vice presidential candidate and current governor of Minnesota took a moment to attack former running mate Kamala Harris for remarks she made the previous week. Governor Tim Walz argued that Democrats should accept responsibility for their mistakes rather than casting blame. Oops. So now Tim Walz, who, by the way, has zero investments, he has $0 in the stock market, so he is 100% insulated from this, except, of course, many of his constituents have actual money in the stock market and their retirement funds and things like that. Even when remember when people were dying and they were like big anti-jabbers and the left was like, ha ha ha, or when somebody on the left died and it was under suspicious circumstances, but they were big pro-jabbers, the right was like, ha ha ha. I don't really care for that kind of stuff. I don't like cheering when people die. Maybe in some rare instances. Governor Tim Walz argued that speaking to CNN, he urged the party to reflect, reconnect with the working class, and rebuild its identity following a significant loss that he believes could have been avoided. Well, yeah, I mean, look, the stock market needed to recorrect. It needed to, and there's not a lot you can really say about it. Will it reach new highs? I don't know. Will it continue to go down? I don't know. But I don't think, as a Democrat, you really want to be saying "I told you so," because people don't care. When they're worried about the retirement funds, they're worried about their stock market, their portfolio. Nobody wants, ask fellas. Let me ask you this. How many times in your life have you made the fatal error of telling your wife, I told you so? Has that ever, in the history of all mankind, has that ever worked out for us? Fellas, how does it feel if someone, your wife or really anybody else, sticks their finger in your face and says, I told you so? Do you feel like you're going to change your mind about the decision that you made? No, that's not how humans are wired. What it means is that you're going to entrench yourself, double and triple down on how you feel, and you're going to get mad at them. That's how that works. Meanwhile, Democrats are taking shots at Kamala Harris's delayed decision on the race. Former Vice President Kamala Harris's lingering decision about whether to run for governor has other Democrats in the same race steamed, saying the state leaders need to step up and protect Californians and combat the destructive policies of President Trump. It's Trump, that's why California is bad. The criticism of Harris's delayed decision, which is expected to come this summer, varies from sharp and direct to oblique and circuitous. People are pointing at the unsuccessful abbreviated campaign Kamala Harris had in 2024, saying this will not be a coronation in an interview last month. You can't run at the end of the rainbow. We saw a $100-day campaign, and look what that brought us. I get it. Other people are mad, probably because they feel like they're going to lose to Kamala Harris. I feel very pessimistic that anybody in California will beat Kamala Harris. And also, that's going to be great for business for me, because then we can make fun of her for another 4 years. But, I'm sure people in her party are like, yo, I'm trying to fundraise, and people aren't going to fundraise if they think you're running. What she's really holding out for is to run for president again. This article, let me just grab the archive version real quick, because, the New York Times likes to change their reporting. She apparently still has not gotten over her presidential loss. Still. Now, I don't think Hillary Clinton's over her loss in 2016. That was a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. Check that. Can you read, my son? 10 years ago. But, ultimately, the fact that she's dragging her feet on running probably means she views that office, the gubernatorial office, as a downgrade. She's like, I was so close to being president. And quite frankly, who are they going to run? Who are they going to run? Kamala Harris believes, there's a new book that came out of her that says she's blaming Joe Biden. But she also launched a dark arts operation against opponents for the VP spot back in 2020. So this new book comes out and it says, okay, well, she blames Joe Biden for her loss, which is probably true. Although she is so deeply unlikable, I think if Joe Biden had said, if Joe Biden had said, I'm out a year ago, I think Trump would have won in a triple landslide. I think Trump would have won even more bigly. But people, even at the gubernatorial level, I personally think it's beneath her, but I welcome it. Outgoing party chairwoman Jessica Millen Patterson told reporters, I would love to see her on the ballot. Since losing the 2024 election, Trump, Harris has made very few public appearances and has basically been in hiding, drinking wine, and of course, eating her beloved Doritos. I think that even at the gubernatorial level, when people are taking pot shots at her, Tim Walz is taking pot shots at her, it's not going to bode well for whatever she decides to do in her next political aspect. I hope she just fades away. But then again, it's good for business the more she produces that word salad. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.